The Reaper. What if Deku was in the assassination classroom? Chapter 1. First Impressions. You'll have a blast, they said. You'll be able to make friends and stay away from the bullies, they said. What a load of crud. As soon as Izuku transferred to Kinigigawa, he knew it wouldn't be easy. But the last thing he expected was to be turned into an incentive for good grades. 3E was a unique feature of the hoity-toity private middle school. It was comprised nearly entirely of quirkless kids, with one exception. But the kid was so timid it was almost impossible to talk to him. The first day was awkward, to say the least. What the hell was the government thinking when they put a bunch of quirkless kids in charge of killing a world-class villain? Assassins? Really? As if the government agents and pro-heroes crawling all over the remote part of the campus wasn't enough, a giant, cartoonish humanoid yellow octopus thing was their teacher. That was one intriguing mutation quirk. The most notable person on the scene was the professional hero Hawks. He was in his hero costume. Yellow goggles covered his golden eyes, and his fur-lined jacket was layered over a black, skin-tight long-sleeve shirt with golden highlights. He wore a grim expression, starkly contrasting the warm smile usually plastered on his face. The Hero Public Safety Commission agents were bustling about the mountainscape, talking into their earpieces. A few of them began ushering the shocked and confused students into the rundown building that housed their classroom. The students sat in their assigned seats and glanced anxiously at their strange teacher. "So, I'm the one that blew up the moon," the octopus began the conversation. What kind of icebreaker was that? Hawks walked into the classroom and sighed. "Hello, I'm the pro-hero Hawks. Here to explain." He suddenly ran at the teacher with a BB gun and a rubber knife, but the teacher effortlessly dodged all of his attacks. "As you can see, he's unimaginably fast," the hero shouted as he attempted to attack. "That makes him a difficult target. He is a ticking time bomb set to vaporize the majority of this planet at the end of the school year, which leads to why you're here." The hero pouted and stopped attacking. "So we want you to kill him for us." Hux pointed dramatically at the students like one of the old army recruitment ads from the United States. "What?" the class yelled in unison. Hux dropped his smile. "To be honest, you aren't actually expected to be able to kill him. Letting him teach you makes him more predictable and lets us watch him most of the day. However, if you do manage to kill him, you'll be rewarded generously. He's marked with an 80 million yen bounty." One of the agents holds up a briefcase filled with cold, hard cash for emphasis. "This'll be your assassination classroom," the octopus declared. The money was incredibly tempting. Quirkless people had little to no chance of making an easy living. They were doomed to fail, so this was a golden opportunity. Most of the students took to murder plans in an instant. Izuku wanted to be a hero, so he was hesitant, but eventually came to terms with the importance of the assassination. His classmates shunned him after he refused to participate in someone's suicidal assassination plot. The shunning pushed him closer to the other outcast, Hitoshi Shinzo. Hitoshi had purple hair, which defied gravity, and piercing lavender eyes. He rarely talked and never asked questions. The boy was almost like an abused cat, so that's how Izuku approached him. The first interaction between the two took place 1 week into the school year, shortly after Izuku's shunning. Izuku approached Hitoshi slowly and tried his best to look non-threatening. He held out an extra bento box his mom had made. Hesitantly, Hitoshi reached out to grab the box. Izuku smiled brightly and sat beside Hitoshi, who flinched but didn't complain. The two sat silently as they ate their lunches. Softly, Izuku began a conversation with the purple-haired boy. Hi, I'm Izuku Midoriya. Sorry if I'm bothering you, but I think we could both use a friend. Everyone is avoiding us. I don't know why you're being avoided, but we outcasts need to stick together. I'm Hitoshi Shinzo, whispered the purple-haired boy. You're not scared of me? For some reason, he phrased it as a statement rather than a question. I'm not scared of you. Why would I be? You haven't done anything to me. You must not have heard my quirk. It is villainous. You have a quirk? Izuku lit up at the prospect because everyone in the class was quirkless. That's so cool. Does it have something to do with the weird way you ask questions? Hitoshi sat in shock at the boy's excitement. Oh, I'm sorry if I frightened you, Izuku mumbled. I really like analyzing quirks, but that's hard to do with a class full of quirkless students. Is your quirk question-based? That would explain the way you speak. Was that rude? Sorry. I'm sorry if that was rude. I don't think your quirks can be villainous. They can only be as evil as the ones who use them. The Rescue Hero 13 has a quirk that can vaporize anything. That quirk's deadly and destructive, but 13's a hero anyway. It all depends on the wielder. So if you don't mind, what is your quirk? Izuku asked. Hitoshi hesitated to answer, but something told him it'd be okay. My quirk is brainwashing, he mumbled. Izuku beamed. That's so cool. It'd be perfect for underground heroics. That was the first time anyone had said that his quirk was good, let alone perfect for heroics. Hitoshi smiled, marking the beginning of a great friendship. A friendship that would strike fear into the hearts of anyone unlucky enough to cross them. Chapter 2. Hawks is better than you. Hawks was their gym teacher. The HPSC got the pro hero a teaching license and assigned him to teach the kids how to fight. Hawks was a surprisingly good teacher. He taught the students everything he knew about stealth and combat, and they took it like a frog learning how to swim. These kids are vicious. Hawks took a particular liking to two specific students. Izuku and Hitoshi were die-hard hero fanboys, and while Hawks wasn't their favorite hero, they both respected him greatly. The three became close after the two had taken on extra training for their future in heroics. He began seeing the boys as younger brothers. He was allowed to play favorites outside of class. Right? Even though he was a hero, he would kill for those kids. Izuku had even given him a few tips on better using his quirk. That kid's analysis was terrifyingly comprehensive. Hawks gulped when he was handed a notebook loaded with enough information to put the HPSC analysts and records to shame. The 12 pages of weaknesses that could be exploited or used to plan his murder were humbling. His quirk, Fierce Wings, was powerful. It granted him a massive set of red wings. Not only had they given him the ability to fly, but he could also control each feather individually. It was an incredibly versatile quirk, but Izuku could find every flaw, every way he was vulnerable. vulnerability that the Commission would be furious about. Hawks had more downtime now than he had since he was 6, which concerned him. He had no childhood, and spending time with a bunch of kids only emphasized that. These kids suffered because of their quirk status, and for some reason he related to their pain and trauma. He lost everything at the hands of the Commission for the sake of their child soldier program. They put him through hell because they wanted him and his quirk to be a perfect little puppet. Because they liked his quirk. One man made his life particularly hellish. He was in charge of the basic training of the newer recruits. Takaoka was a brutal man whose chosen teaching tactic was to break his trainees beyond repair, then build them back up however he saw fit. He was especially harsh to rambunctious or outgoing kids, like Hawks was. Hawks thought he would never have to see that demon again, but the Commission had other plans. The 3E students weren't progressing fast enough for the HPSC standards, so they sent in one of their trainers, Takaoka. The fact that Takaoka still worked for the HPSC as a trainer meant they still ran that horrid program that ruined the lives of countless children. Takaoka, the demon, was luring the kids into a sense of safety using sweets and praise. It was his favorite tactic. He tried to masquerade as a father figure, then used that to justify his abusive behavior. At first, Hawks attempted to keep a straight face and maintain his appearance for the HPSC. That all went out the window. He snapped when Takaoka started to hit the kids. The demon screamed at and choked Hitoshi for talking back. The lanky boy gasped and clawed at Takaoka's unusually large hands. The purple-haired teen's look of shock quickly turned into an angry snarl that only yielded a more yelling and a harsher grip. "Get your filthy hands off him!" Hawks shouted. He pulled out one of his feathers to wield like a sword. "I won't let you hurt them anymore. Not like how you hurt me." The demon laughed at him. Takaoka shot Hawks a horrid sneer. "Oh, the trainee thinks he can best the trainer? Ha! You know what would happen if you defy direct orders, yet you still threaten me. I propose a wager. If you can prove that you're a better teacher than me, then I'll leave and I'll give the HPSC a glowing review of your teaching skills." Hawks raised a feather as if to strike. "Ha ha! Not so fast." Takaoka wagged his finger patronizingly. "If you beat me, it only proves I taught you perfectly. If one of your students defeats me, though..." Hawks was horrified. There was no way he'd subject one of his kids to that demon's beatings. Suddenly, a hand was placed on his shoulder. The hand's owner was far shorter than the pro, with green hair and a freckled face. "Izuku, I can't..." Hawks was cut off by the determined look in the boy's eyes. "Okay, kick his butt." He tried giving the boy an encouraging thumbs up. Takaoka handed Izuku a knife. A real one, not a rubber one that only hurts the octopus teacher. The demon laughed again. "Look how generous I am. I won't even wield a knife of my own." "Oh, okay," Izuku whispered. "Aw, where did all that determination go?" Takaoka looked down at the boy with pity, but that suddenly changed to confusion. Izuku hunched and shuffled toward the trainer. It was a tactic he honed during his years of avoiding Kachan. The small boy cowered before the demon and clutched the knife close to his body. Mr. Takaoka? Izuku stammered. Takaoka raised one of his eyebrows. Suddenly, Izuku had the demon in a chokehold and a knife pressed to his throat. Izuku was like a completely other person. He had a sadistic grin and his voice dripped with malice. All his anxiety had disappeared and he laughed maniacally. Do you yield, Takaoka? Do you admit defeat? Will you go back on your word? Everyone here has witnessed your failure at the hands of Hawks' student. He has surpassed you in every way. Get lost. Chapter 3. The Outcasts. Hitoshi didn't have much of a home life. His foster family was less abusive than his previous ones, but he still wouldn't call it home. He tried really hard to look at the few good things in life. There was Eraserhead, the best hero. There was coffee, which helped him stay awake after his sleepless nights. There were cats. Those were self-explanatory. There was Hawks, who is practically his older brother at this point. And then there was Izuku. Izuku, who believed he could be a hero. Izuku, who trusted him despite his quirk. Izuku, his friend. The two of them were really close, so Hitoshi was the first to see Izuku's true colors. Izuku always hid behind a brilliant smile and anxious personality. It was similar to Hitoshi's apathetic persona. It was a method of avoiding scorn and the wrath of their discriminatory classmates. But after they found each other, they stopped caring about the scrutiny of others. As long as they knew the other had their back, they could truly be themselves. Their teacher, recently dubbed Koro-sensei, was happy about the development, but the class wasn't as perceptive. The outcasts terrified the other students. 3E became really tight-knit, except for the outcast duo. They concocted their own plans rather than going along with the class. Hitoshi and Izuku's biggest priority was becoming heroes, unlike the rest of the class, who was set on getting the bounty and living the easy life. The class was also jealous of the fact that Hawks liked them better than the other students. Izuku was a calm, malevolent genius. He rivaled the literal supercomputer for the position of smartest 3E student. The AI, Ritsu, was better at calculations, but Izuku dwarfed her in the strategy department. When the two worked together, they were logistically unstoppable. Their partnership and Ritsu's rough introduction got the AI grouped with the outcasts. It saddened the AI, but she was happy to have at least a couple friends. Hitoshi was ridiculously charismatic, according to their English teacher. Their English teacher, Miss Yelovich, was a foreigner and a trained assassin. She taught the less combat-based aspects of assassination. She also took an instant liking to Hitoshi because of his potential. Quirks always came with mutations, even emitter types. Kachan had thicker skin on his palms and enlarged pores to protect himself from his quirk. Endeavor was fireproof, otherwise he'd have chronic third-degree burns on his face. And Hitoshi had a beautiful voice. It was easy on the ears, yet could cut through a noisy room. Gotta love voice-based mental quirks. The next and final addition to 3E was the formerly violent, white-haired boy Ituna. Ituna had tentacles like their octopus teacher, but the mutation was limited to just a few tentacles sprouting off from the top of his head. The boy was part of the same experiments that created their strange teacher. After the tentacles were removed like a cancerous tumor, the boy calmed down and realized his passion for support. He ended up with the outcasts too, because the experiments resulted in an enhanced perception and reaction speed as if it was a quirk. His abrasive attitude, poor first impression, and lack of expression didn't help either. The outcasts were chronic pranksters, often incorporating assassination attempts into their pranks. The geniuses of persuasion, strategy, calculations, and support technology would set up elaborate traps and scares for their classmates and their assassination target. They would often involve Hawks and Yelovich in their antics too. The pro hero had an insatiable sense of humor, and Yelovich was happy to go along with whatever mischief this group got into. Yelovich had an obvious crush on the pro hero, but Hawks was denser than tungsten if his oblivion to Yelovich's advances was anything to go by. Izuku's leading theory was that Hawks wasn't interested in women. There was evidence aside from Yelovich, but the lack of interest and dismissal of her advances, coupled with a couple other things, was more than enough proof to get the English teacher off his back. The two became good friends instead. The group's most traumatizing prank/assassination attempt haunted 3E for weeks. Ritsu's box was still inactive, and an eerie silence filled the classroom. It wasn't empty. Hawk stared unmoving out the window. His goggles hid his eyes, and there was a complete lack of emotion on his face. The unconscious forms of Yelovich and Ituna were pinned to the ceiling by Hawks' feathers. The desks were toppled and pushed to the sides, and a crude chalk pentagram was drawn where they should have been. Hundreds of candles lit the room. Izuku was splayed out in the middle of the pentagram, and a hooded Hitoshi stood over him, holding a candle. Hitoshi began mumbling something when a crowd gathered outside the classroom. Slowly, Hawks turned, maintaining his unreadable expression. Then the pro began mumbling in unison with his hooded student. In a smooth, methodical motion, Hawks grabbed one of his feathers to wield like a sword. Readying the feather, he stalked towards the doorway. 3E cowered in fear, and Koro-sensei screamed. Suddenly, Hitoshi thrust a pointed finger in the direction of the students, and hundreds of Hawks' feathers shot from every direction. All the students got pinned to the walls as Hawks lunged at Koro-sensei. A slight click sounded before the explosions of anti-sensei BBs came from the feathers, launched at the teacher. Yelovich and Izuku joined the charge, both wielding water guns. The water caused the teacher's tentacles to swell. Koro-sensei panicked as the cacophony of noise from the explosion drowned out Ritsu's gunfire and Hitoshi's footsteps. The octopus lost 6 of his tentacles to Hitoshi and Ritsu's guns. He lost another 2 to Hawks' feathers. Coated with anti-sensei chemicals, they sliced through the teacher like tofu. Then the explosion stopped, and Koro-sensei scrambled away from the attack. "Damn it!" Izuku shouted. "We almost had him!" "We'll get him next time. If only my quirk worked on him," Hitoshi complained. "Yeah, I'm just glad your idea for my feathers works," Hawk said as he returned his feathers that didn't get blown up. "Those explosions were great, Ituna." "Glad I could help," Ituna replied in his usual monotone voice. "Hey! What about me?" Yelovich whined. You did great, Miss Yelovich. You too, Ritsu, Izuku complimented. We should get to work on our next plan. And that was the first 3 chapters of The Reaper. What if Deku was part of the Assassination classroom? Yeah. Yeah, there's a script now. Well, not so much of a script so much as I actually, wrote the dang thing like it was some fan fiction, and now I've read it. This is gonna be the new norm. So, surprise. If you were expecting anything different, I guess. I might end up doing like blooper sections in the future. I didn't do one for this video because none of the bloopers were really that funny. Just me messing up random words and then being embarrassed that I messed up the words, so I redid the section. Anyway, yeah, this is it. This is how it's gonna be. This is reality now. Bet you weren't expecting this. Or maybe some of you were. Anyway, I was the one who wrote this, and I posted it on AO3 as Ray of Frost. I'll probably announce the author in the next part of this, but whatever. I think I'm running out of my 2-minute rant slot.